Hello, my name is Sandy. I'm your sewing guru. Welcome to my channel again. I got a request from one of my friends about how to make this kurta. So I thought it was a good idea to record the process for all of you so you can see how I replicate a garment. I'm going to explain you how to make the patterns for this kurta, but of course that knowledge you can apply it to any garment you want. So this is not a tutorial, it's more like a master class where I'm going to explain you everything you need to know to replicate a garment having a picture of it. So get a coffee, probably it will be a long master class, but I'm sure it will be useful for you if you like pattern making and if you like making your own garments. So the first thing you are going to need to replicate your garment is obviously the picture of the garment. In this case I only need the front picture because this kurta, the design, it has it on the front of the kurta. The back of this garment is probably a plain back pattern. But if your garment is more complicated, then you are going to need, or it will be useful to have more pictures, at least one of the front and one of the back of the garment, so your patterns will be more accurate. The second thing you are going to need to replicate your garment is your basic patterns. In this case, I need the basic patterns for men. Obviously, if your garment is for a woman, you are going to need the basic patterns for women. If you don't know how to make basic patterns, in the description box below this video I will leave you all the information about all the free videos and free courses or the premium classes I have about pattern making and basic pattern making. So the main thing with the basic patterns is that they are a copy of the body made of paper. Like if I trace the contour of the body of a person like this, there you have the shape of the basic patterns. Obviously the basic patterns are made with the measurements of the person to fit it properly. If you make a garment using these basic fabrics, you will get something like this. This is a basic garment that grabs the body without any change. You can't see any neckline design or length or anything, and it only has the enough ease to allow the movement. Having this basic shape of your body in a pattern, then you can make changes on that shape to achieve the result you want, in this case the garment we want to make. Here I have a replica of the basic patterns of a man to explain you the process. This is the back pattern and this is the front pattern. You can tell because of the curve on the neckline is deeper in the front. So the first thing you are going to do to replicate your garment is identify the difference between the garment and the basic patterns, and then replicate those differences or make the changes in the basic patterns to make a copy or to replicate this garment. I can tell I will work with the back first. Here I have my back pattern, so I can tell the back of this garment is a plain back, pretty much the same shape as the front but without any design, and I'm going to identify the differences between the back of this garment and this pattern here. The first and the most obvious difference is the length of the garment, because these patterns usually are they end on the waistline, right? So the first thing I need to change is the length. Just measure the length you want from the shoulder to the, in this case, like up to the knee or wherever you want the length to be. And we need to, this base line of the pattern, extend it downwards, reaching the length we want for the garment. The second difference I can identify here is that is wider here at the hips line, obviously, because the hips are wider in general than the waist. So I need to change three main things in this pattern. One is the length of the garment, another is the length of the hips to know where I have to make it wider, and the third change is that width, make it wider at the hips length. So the first thing I'm going to do is extend the length. Just measure from shoulder to the length, and also in the pattern from the shoulder to the length, and extend until that point. There I have the length. Usually the length we extend it first in the central line of the pattern. This is the central line of the pattern. Now I need to identify where is the hips line. For that, I'm going to measure from the waist to the hips, that distance, this distance. I have to measure it also in the body, or if you are working with charts of measurements, just check in your chart. And you have to mark it here, measure in the garment the same from waist downwards, and there you can mark the length of the hips, and there you can trace the hips line. Next, you are going to measure the the hips contour of the person. And since this pattern is half of the front total, that means it's 1/4 part of the full contour of the body. So measure the contour of the hips, divided by 4, and that measurement mark it here. Then you can trace from the waist to the hips the side line, and then from the hips to the length of the garment, and then the baseline, like this. When we made garments like this, it's always useful to give a better shape. This corner here, make it bring it like upwards by 2 centimeters, like this. This will give a better shape to the garment, and then you can make it like slightly curved in this way. So that would be the pattern for my back. Now for the front pattern, the first difference I notice is then this is my basic pattern of the front, right? And it ends vertically here in the center of the front here. This particular design, it has an extension after that central line, which is this button line, the curved one here. So if I need to make this shape, I need to trace the full pattern of the garment at the front. Any design that is crossed or engraca or these styles, it has to be made in the full pattern, not only in the half pattern. So the first thing you are going to do is trace the full pattern. So in this case, in the software, I'm just going to reflect it and put it here to have the full pattern. If you are doing it on paper, fold your paper by the central line and transfer the shape of the pattern, unfold the paper, and there you have the full shape of the front pattern. So having the full shape of the front, let's identify the difference. The first difference is also the length. I already have the length for the back, so I'm going to extend the length of the front in the same way I did the length for the back. Giving the width for the hips too. Now the next difference I can see is obviously this design of the crossed piece on the front. So what I'm going to do is the neckline, leave it like that because it's a Chinese collar. For a Chinese collar, we need the basic neckline as it is in the basic patterns. So the change we need to make is this shape here. Another difference I can see is the yoke here. So first of all, let's trace the yoke here, and for that we need to know this measurement here, the length, vertical length of the yoke, because the width of the yoke is obviously all the shoulder. So to know this distance, what you have to do is take another measurement as a reference. So what is the measurement that I can take as a reference here is obviously the armhole. So the armhole finish here approximately. Here is my full armhole. So this part, as you can see, is 1/3 part of the armhole. So in your pattern with your measuring tape, measure this distance here, divided by 3, and then mark 1/3 part here. In this side, just keep the same length from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. And if you can see, also you can take as a reference the neckline. This curve here ends exactly where the basic neckline ends. So you'll have to draw a curve like this, and then your yoke will be this portion here. The same for the other side. So there you have the yokes, but probably these yokes are, you have two options: to cut the full shape in the main fabric and overlap these yokes in another fabric, or cut one piece of this and one piece of this, so attach them together to get this design. Obviously here I am making rough sketches, but you make it with the measurements and it will be perfect. The next thing we need to trace is the overlapped pieces here. So let's make first the bottom piece, which the only difference we know is, like, it's useful if you trace over the picture the shape of the piece you are going to transform. Like, I already have the length, so it will be like this, and here I already have the shape of the yoke, or without the yoke, so the piece is going to be like this probably. And I don't need it to be over here, probably over here. I only need to cover this area enough for the buttons. So if you want to leave it over here or trace it until here, you only need to trace the shape of the piece. And as I can see here is a curve, so I'm going to follow the shape. So this piece is like this, right? So here, actually, if you don't want to trace the shape of the armhole, you can leave it here, like in a straight line. And this is the piece we need to trace for the front. So how I'm going to know the measurements for these and for this? Again, I'm going to take another thing as a reference. In this case, I'm going to trace or use the central line. So if I follow the central line and the side line of my garment, I can see this part is maybe the same 1/3 part of the length here. So first, and here I can take it, if I extend this line, is passing through the half point of the shoulder here. So half point of the shoulder here, and from there I'm going to trace a straight line. And then from the central line, if you don't want to make it in half or in third parts, etc., you can just take as a reference the central line and go as much as you want here. This is also as per taste. Here I am guessing is about 3 inch, so you can mark 3 inch here, or 1/3 part of this length, and from here start the curve here, reaching the line we just traced from the shoulder in this way. and my piece would be this, all until here, all these, because in this side is complete, this part of the armhole, and then this in red is going to be my piece for the front, the backwards piece. For the overlap piece with the buttonholes, obviously you need to mark this line to know where to put the buttons in the bottom part, in the bottom piece. So, but now let's trace this piece. As you can see here, the armhole, it will be the same, no changes, obviously excluding the part of the yoke. So armhole the same, the side is the same, this top curve is the same, and it ends here. If I extend this line, is also half of the shoulder here. From there we are going to start our curve. So if I have my yokes, here, and I take half of the shoulder and come with this measurement until this line of the yoke. From here I have to start my curve. Now where the curve ends, here I have approximately 3 inches, but if you want to be like more accurate, then trace the central line, and you can see here, from here to here, this is half of the measurement approximately. So if I trace here, also extend my central line, on the half of this segment here I will finish my curve. You can mark also reference for trace the curve. This curve is now free for you to make. If you want another reference, maybe is here in the waistline, you can see that the curve pass also through the half point of this fourth part of the waist, means this side, like this segment here is this segment here. Mark the half, approximately half, you mark it with proper measurements, and then there you can trace your curve. In this case, it's not giving me the curve like this because these are not real basic patterns, it's like a simulation I made. But you can take reference, as I am showing you here, and trace this curve with all the reference you need. So in this case, for purposes of the video, I'm going to just copy the shape of the curve from here to the bottom part of the kurta, and this piece is going to be following, of course, this curve shape, this top curve for the yoke, the armhole, and the side. And this is the next piece for your kurta. Now the sleeve, as you can see, is a normal shirt sleeve. If you want to know how to make this kind of sleeve, this is a basic sleeve. The only thing is the cuffs that you have to add. Also, I have this in my classes for pattern making for boys and men. We make shirts for boy and for men in that class, and there I teach you how to make cuffs. Or also you can find this class for free in my YouTube channel, where I make a kurta with cuffs for men. So you can, I'm going to leave you also the link for the video in the description box, below this video. Now I clean my lines and I retrace with a better shape the pieces of my garment, and I have all the pieces here. For the back is only one piece, as you can see here. Obviously you have to cut this folded in the fold of the fabric to get only one piece. The fold of the fabric will be here. So once you cut it, it will be like this. There you have your full piece for the back. And for the front we have 4 pieces. The 2 yokes here, the front piece that overlaps the under piece, which is this one. For the sleeve I have a basic sleeve. As I told you before, you need a basic sleeve for men in this case. And for the collar I have a normal Chinese collar. The collar also we trace it like this, but also you need to cut it in folded fabric so you can get the full piece for the collar there. If you don't know, in case you want to make this kurta, for example, you don't know how to make the collar, I have videos in my channel about how to make Chinese collar. And to stitch the kurta, first you need to form or assemble the front piece, stitching first the under piece to the yokes, and then overlap and stitch the outer piece in this way. Mark where your buttons are going to be and attach the buttons and make the buttonholes, and then attach it by the shoulders to the back piece. Then attach the sleeves, stitch the sleeves obviously to the armholes, the collar and the neckline, and finish the sleeve with cuffs. Also, if you don't know how to make cuffs, the video is on my channel. All the links will be in the description box below this video. And that's it. This is how you can make the patterns having a picture of any garment that you want to replicate. If you have any doubt, please leave me a comment on this video, or if you want me to help you to replicate a specific garment, just send me the picture on my social network. You have the links also in the description box below this video, and I can make a video for you explaining you how to replicate that specific pattern. Thank you so much for watching my video. Again, if you think it's helpful for someone, share it, like it, and subscribe to my channel. Activate the bell button so you will not miss any of my upcoming videos. Thank you so much. Happy stitches for everyone, and I will see you the next time.